You're listening to a podcast of Reelblack Radio with Mike D and Steph Renee. Fridays 11 a.m. till noon on 900 a.m. WURD. And 900 a.m. WURD.com.
But again, from the soundtrack of The Fighting Temptations, that's Beyonce and Bilal with a song called Everything I Do. And that, of course, you know, I like to play movie music for you to bring us into each week of Reelblack Radio. Mike Dennis is in the house. Good morning, sir.
I appreciate that, Stephanie. I mean, I always hate coming in at 11 because it breaks up your calls and everybody's kind of has some deep conversation.
Well,
people
it's
trying
been
to
a
make
deep
sense.
week, you know, that's all.
Without question.
So, you know, hopefully having a conversation about our culture and some of the positive ways that we are trying to do storytelling these days will help people woosah a little bit.
Right. So yeah, looking on the bright side, I have these words. Okay, so what good can happen out of this situation? Well, you know, there's no change without pain. All kinds of transitions require pain. Nothing is easy. So that's a plus. Black art is gonna get better because there's nothing to talk about or criticize. Everybody's talking about the size of the shoes up until now. So already in 2016, I mean, today the Tribe Called Quest album came.
And I've heard nothing but good things. I haven't heard it yet. I got too much going on today. I'm not going to get a chance to listen to it today. I'm just going to buy it unheard tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to be entrenched with it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. So Tribe Called Quest is out. Common, he just released a 20-minute video of Black America Now.
Yes, that's directed by Ava DuVernay.
Well, produced by Ava DuVernay, directed by Bradford Jones.
Yes, Bradford Young. Yes. I saw the live performance on The Tonight Show, and the way that they filmed the live performance was excellent, with BJ the Chicago Kid singing the Stevie Wonder parts in his absence. You know, there's a lot of, and we talk about this all the time. Also, there was a boom in black film during the war because people needed a diversion. As broke as people were, with everything else that was going on in the world around us, there was a need to escape for a minute and to just kind of revel in our wonder. And so these films, even though they were still race films, but they had these big production numbers. So we got a chance to see us sing and dance and kind of tell our own stories. And it was a way for us to sort of, you know, love up on ourselves a little bit.
Well, absolutely. I think so. Black art and black artists, I mean, one thing, art always helps reorient where you are in the world.
Yes.
Right. So it's very important for the black genius that exists within our culture to reveal itself and put out work to help us orient ourselves.
Yes.
So, and I'm definitely looking forward to things to come in terms of that and what's already happening right now. You know, it's sort of a call to action to folks. A lot of that wax stuff is just going to have to go by the side, and you know, we'll support it anyway. The whole world is diversion. I think people were diverted to the point where they weren't necessarily paying attention to everything that's going on, and then when they had a chance to speak out, you know, that was their reaction. So, and then, you know, the best thing that could happen, you know, like Bush, he was kind of incompetent, and he messed up things so bad that it opened the door for a black president.
Right.
So all these people, they're upset. You know, they're homophobic, they're xenophobic. You know, they just have prejudices. They want to blame everybody else. So, you know, my prediction is that Bush is going to mess this up. Trump is going to mess this up so bad that it opens the door.
Who knows what
for
we can get
our
next,
first paraplegic, lesbian, transgender with a lisp talking out of voice box president.
But must you add those communities as sort of like, you know,
it's everything they hate.
What? Yeah.
I'm not labeling anybody. So, but you know, but right now we need some comfort food.
Yes, we do. I mean, and I think that there's an appreciation that we must have for kind of you know, we've been saying this a lot on the air this week. There is self-care that is necessary in the midst of all this, because there were a lot of people that were really shell-shocked after Tuesday night.
Oh, especially in this area, yeah.
Yes.
It was a very quiet Wednesday morning. It was almost like
It was eerie,
and it was ironic because it was like 11/9 was the date.
Right.
So that was the irony, and it was so quiet. And the last time I felt like that here, I mean, I don't know, other people were cheering, but it's opened the door for some weird stuff. So.
Yeah, and so, in this, as we press ever forward toward the holiday season, this idea of how we rally around themes of family, how we rally around the positive aspects of our culture that don't often get uplifted enough until this season, until this time of year, it's all part of the theme of the new work from our next guest.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been wanting to talk to this brother for a long time. I interviewed him for when he had his first feature film, First Sunday. But I've been a fan of David E. Talbert since I saw at the Merriam Love in the Nick of Time,
right, with
Avant and all those folks. So today is the release in theaters. Go see it in theaters. Don't wait for it to come to the barbershop. You got to go out. You got to go and experience life and meet people and share things and laugh together.
Contribute to the first weekend receipts.
With us on the line, David E. Talbert, writer and director of Almost Christmas.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Talbert, and welcome to WURD.
Hey. Good morning. How you doing?
We're good, and we're talking about your film could be, part of this soul food that our spirits truly need in these days and times.
Let me tell you something. Laughter is food for the soul, and I tell you, your soul and your stomach is going to be full after you get out of this movie. And I think it's something that we need right about now. More than anything.
No, absolutely. The Myers family. It's sort of like all of us. I mean, amazing cast, and I think everybody's going to feel connected. I mean, it's just a really fun movie. I had a chance to see it last week. I mean, let folks know. I mean, about this cast. How did this come about?
Well, you write a script, and I wrote the script because I love the holiday season and just. All the good stuff about it, the food, all the not so good stuff, some of them cousins you wish weren't. And you're not sure really how they get in your bloodline. But it's just one of those things. I wrote the script, and then I sent it to Will Packer, the producer, and then we sent it to Gabrielle Union. She said, "Oh, okay." Danny Glover, yeah, I'll do it. He said, yeah, baby, I like this baby. I was in Africa, baby, and I read this, baby, and I was up all night, baby, laughing at this. So he came on board, and then Davey Smooth and my sister Monique and Omar Epps, and it just kept growing and growing to what it is now.
Well, Kimberly Elise is going to be on the show, on the same show a little bit later, but Monique, talk about Monique in this movie.
Well, Monique is a revelation. I mean, I think we forgot, because she's been doing drama for the past decade.
Yeah.
We forgot this is the queen of comedy. And I've been knowing her for so long. I called up and said, "Sis, I need you to come in this movie, do a little cameo." She said, "All right, David, I'll come and do this cameo." And then she got on the set, and I kept throwing more scenes and more lines at her. And she said, "Damn it, David, this ain't no damn cameo."
I hope you paid her in advance, please.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so she is wearing this movie out. It's one of the best. She's getting so much critical acclaim from the New York Times and LA Times. I mean, people are going crazy over her performance in this movie.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I've been cracking up laughing at just her appearance in the trailer. So I know I'm going to appreciate it when I get a chance to see the full-length film. But talk to us a little bit about this notion of how casts, as you're pulling this together, the power of the ensemble, because that's something that you were able to explore to great acclaim and success on the live stage. And now here you are giving us another serving of this on film, where we get a chance to really not just come see one or two of our favorite stars, but a whole group that's working together and making us feel and laugh and love.
Well, the thing about it is as a director, I'm a coach, and the coach wants to assemble. If the coach wants to, the happiest coach is the one that's coaching Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc or Shaq and Kobe or LeBron and Kyrie. I mean, or now with, I guess, the Warriors,
Steph
Curry and all those guys. So that's all I did was I assembled a dream team. And as a director, my job is to be smart enough to go somewhere and sit down and let the magic happen. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Talbert, we're talking to David E. Talbert, whose new movie, Almost Christmas, is in theaters now. I want to go a little bit deep because I'm interested in terms of how does Almost Christmas fit within your body of work? You know, we're saying, and I think this movie coming out today is right on time because in some ways, you know, we're constantly being reinforced with the idea that we don't matter or Black folks don't matter. And then, you know, a lot of our culture is erased. And, you know, sometimes we don't necessarily feel where we are, but this is about a family it's a patriarch who had his own business, sent all of his kids to school. All of them are different and there's nothing but love. I mean, can you talk about how this movie fits within your overall body of work?
Well, it's probably one of the most important, if not the most important, because I'm a new dad of 3 years. And,
Congrats.
you know, growing up like so many of us in our families, it's the mom that's holding everything. It's Big Mama, it's Grandmama, it's your mother, it's the sisters that's been holding us down. And I thought it was important for this story to celebrate the mothers by showing a father, you know, holding it down.
Yeah.
And I thought it was important to, you know, there are so many great uncles and grandfathers and fathers out there, and we can't do it like Mom can. No way, no how. But I thought it was important to really celebrate that and to show a dad at the head of the family how he interacts with his daughters, his son, his crazy sister-in-law Monique. And audiences, I think, are really enjoying seeing something different in that respect.
No, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know, the whole idea of a father, especially as you talk about interacting with his daughters, the idea of how loving ourselves is a group effort because we are taught about how to think of ourselves and love ourselves from those elders that nurture us. And this power of the village that is clearly evident in the way you've put this ensemble together and the way that this story is being told is definitely a message that we need right about now.
And it is, and I think, you know, with all the kind of hangover, the election hangover is what I call it, I think it's more important now than ever for us to get out and get a chance to exhale and laugh and focus on what matters, really family. Getting back to trying to figure out a way to get back to the love and a common ground. And sometimes art can help do that.
Right, but you've always done that. Like I said, I was first introduced to your work in person with Love in the Nick of Time, and you know, everybody left feeling good. There's music, there's love story. All these elements are in your work, and now you've gone on to movies. You had First Sunday, Baggage Claim, and now this. I mean, what is it about your audience and the way that you see storytelling?
Well, I know, you know, it's funny because I feel like this is the first film that I'm a filmmaker. The first two coming from plays, you know, plays tell the story, film shows the story.
Yes.
So the transition was, in plays, the most important thing are the words. In film, the least important thing are the words. The most important thing are the pictures and the images. And so I had to find a happy medium of how do you embrace who I am as a playwright, and also embrace who I am as a filmmaker who tells stories in pictures. And I think this movie, being able to work with this kind of cast, actors who don't have a false beat in their body. Kimberly, Elise, does not have a false beat in her body. And there's nothing she's going to do that's not on point. And so I'm most happy with people seeing this because you asked the question, where does it fit in the body of work? I think the reviews we've been getting from the New York Times to the Huffington Post to the LA Times to the Chicago Tribune, everybody is saying collectively that this is an elevation of not only my work as a writer and director, but of the genre of holiday ensemble films with African American cast So I'm very proud of that.
Nice. Well, Sonia Sanchez said that you don't necessarily call yourself a poet. Other people call you a poet because they recognize that in the work that you're giving them. And so it sounds like you are officially now claiming filmmaker because it is widely acknowledged and accepted that you said you're refining your craft. So, salute to you for being able to put on the full, sit in the director's chair and make it feel real comfortable right now with what all that means in your life.
It's funny. My wife laughs at me because, I'll read some reviews. In the middle of reading a review to her aloud, I just start getting teared up, emotional. She says, "Oh Lord, here he goes." This stuff is, I'm like a kid and I'm an artist. So I'm always just humbled and thankful and grateful that people dig what I do. And this is something, I'm going to be in every theater in Los Angeles.
Sneaking in the back in the corner?
Oh, absolutely I am. And it's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, and shout out to Willpower Packer. I think you guys make a great team, and I hope you continue to work together. And let's make this one a hit. Let's go out and support this because we're all in need of fun. Like I said, sometimes you're just in the mood for ribs. You don't necessarily want to be thinking about everything that's going on.
I don't want no salad. I don't want no vegetables. I don't want no broccoli. I want some ribs and some sweet tea.
Yes.
And everything. That's what I want.
Yeah, and even you vegans, you can cheat this weekend. Danny Glover and Monique and all the your DC Young Fly. It's a really fun movie. So really appreciate you taking the time of your day to be on our air.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for the support. Thanks for the support very much. So I appreciate it.
Well, this is the takeover show, almost Christmas takeover, because right after the break, we're going to talk to Kimberly Elise.
Well, tell Kimberly that I have for her favorite, and that's vegan ham sandwiches.
Oh, all righty.
And she can't stand. She doesn't eat any of that stuff. So I tease her all the time that I have a ham sandwich for her. And it's vegan. And she says, "What is that, David?" But I love that woman. I love that woman.
No, she's beautiful.
I gain weight in every movie I shoot because all we do is eat, and sit all day. And she made me this smoothie. And it was the first movie that I lost weight while I was shooting it.
Nice.
She gave me this healthy smoothie, so I love that woman.
Right, that's what's up.
Well, we will pass along the love when we speak to her in just a little bit.
All right, thanks so much.
Absolutely. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is writer-director David Talbert, and Almost Christmas is in theaters beginning today. Make sure you go out again, check your stubs, and make sure that they have attributed your dollars to the right film.
Absolutely.
And support this film on opening weekend and all the way up through the holiday season.
Yeah, this is not a Netflix and chill weekend. This is, if you can, I know a lot of people are stuck at home, but if you can get out and just experience the sunlight,
that's right,
see what's really important, and then go to a movie like this that reconnects you to your family and your legacy and just what's most important in these days, I think you're going to have a good time.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and as you've heard, this is an Almost Christmas takeover here on today's edition of Reelblack Radio. We'll be speaking with Kimberly Elise in just a moment. Keep your dial locked here on 900 AM WURD. This is one of those albums, I don't remember how I first heard about Fink.
Okay.
But I loved this album just flat out. And then my love for it elevated that much more when Morgan Rhodes, as music supervisor for
Middle of Nowhere,
pulled out some music from this album for that soundtrack, Perfect Darkness, which is the title track of the album. But again, this is Fink, and the song's called Fear is Like Fire. And in this emotional space that we've been in over the last several days, I just thought that title and kind of the messaging of this song was entirely appropriate.
Wait, say the title again.
Fear is Like Fire. And so, and so what we are doing today, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of bringing you into this cinematic space, but we're also talking about how film and how good Black stories about Black people, as as Reelblack is all about, can help heal us from those things that make us fearful or angry or in these other negative emotions that are real. And we got to work our way through them. But it is wonderful to be able to exhale with some really great acting and storytelling and laughter and bring us into a space where we move beyond it.
Absolutely. We're in need of an emotional cleanse. And our guest that's on the line, if you look at anything this woman has done, this young woman has done, your soul will cleanse your palate.
Indeed.
So I mean, from Set It Off to John Q. Beloved.
Yes.
Now Almost Christmas.
Indeed.
Which reunites her with Danny Glover from Beloved. My friend, we go back like car seats. I'm so proud of this woman. And then I was looking at her Instagram. She's killing it. Her daughters are just growing up beautiful. I mean, with us on the line, Kimberly, Elise.
Yes. And good morning or good afternoon, wherever you happen to be, and welcome to WURD.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, congratulations. We don't get to see. I haven't seen you since for Color Girls when you came to Philly, but
True. It's been a while.
But with the gram, I keep up with what you're doing and all this stuff. I mean, we just had David E. Talbert on the line talking about Almost Christmas. So I mean, you really don't need to sell this one. I mean, I just want to just talk about like how did you get involved with this? What how much fun was it, and what was it like being back with Danny Glover?
Oh wow. David called to meet with me about the movie. They sent me the script. I really thought it was a great script. And I'm always looking for something fun and light to do as well as my dramatic stuff. So I said, yeah, I'd love to meet. And we had a great conversation. I loved his vision for the movie. I love the people he thought about bringing on board. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do it. And that's how it happened. And I had the best, most amazing time making the movie. It was just, it's one of those situations where I can't believe they're paying us to do this.
That's a great. Well, I was going to say I read, some quotes after you shot for Color Girls, where you had to take yourself to a pretty dark place, and you talked about the process of sort of extracting yourself from the real heavy emotional toll that some of these roles take on you. So I imagine being able to be with this kind of ensemble cast and laugh your way through each day of shooting has to be a really nice kind of opposite end of the spectrum for you artistically.
Oh, God, yes, definitely. I think all of us in life in general, we need to balance. You have to have the yin and the yang. You have to have the up and the down, the hard times and the good times. And so definitely as artists, that holds true as well. So it was healing in a whole other way.
Mm-hmm. Now you played opposite like spouses with a lot of great actors. You played opposite in John Q, Denzel, and and for Color Girls, all this stuff. So I thought it was genius to put you opposite JB Smoove. I said, this is I'm waiting for this to happen, and it happens. And it looks like you had a lot of fun working together.
Oh man, JB and I had so much fun. We would crack each other up. I mean, we come up with these bits. And in anticipation of doing them, before they say rolling and laughing, just because we were already laughing at our jokes. And, basically my job was to be the straight person. So I set up the joke for JB, and he knocks it out of the park. So I say something like, you worked at Best Buy for 2 years. And that was, in and of itself is funny. But then JB says all the stuff that makes the whole thing funny and goes on for 30 seconds of making that one funny. So I just set it up, and he knocked it out of the park. And that was my job, and I loved it. There's when you have the two together, there's always the straight and then the one who hits the ball.
Yes, indeed.
So I had a lot of fun stuff.
Well, And part of the kind of being in this space and absorbing the opportunities and just taking it all in. David Talbert was saying that you also are very much into self-care, and he said that he has been in films with you, and you have taught him how the proper way to make a smoothie, and rather than packing on the pounds, he's actually gotten healthier in the process of working with you. How do you implement this kind of self-care regimen even in the stressful circumstances of shooting a major film, and really keep yourself in good shape?
Well, it is really important to me. I am a big advocate of self-care. I've been a vegan for many, many, many years, and a year or two ago found out I have celiac disease, which means I can't eat gluten either. So I'm very conscious of what I eat, and more often than not, I take my own food to work. And a great staple for me on set is smoothies. I mean, just in general, I have a smoothie every day. I just made one. And David would see me walking around with my big green smoothie or my protein smoothie. He's like, what are you eating? And I sent him all the ingredients, what I was eating. He had his assistant start making those for him. And you could see him just chopping pounds. And at the same time, getting more energy and more, zest and power. And he became religious about it. So every day you'd see David and I with our smoothies. And he tells me to this day he still has the smoothie recipe I gave him, and he enjoys the food.
He asked us to tell you that he had some vegan ham.
Yeah, he had vegan ham for you next time he sees you.
He's trying to,
Yeah. No. So, no, I'm super curious. It's not just a plug. I'm curious. Kimberly Elise Naturals.
Yes. Kimberly Elise Naturals is my own natural beauty line that I'm going to be launching shortly with hair and skin products. So we're really, really excited about it, and I've created some really amazing products for natural and people who are concerned about the ingredients that are in their products.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have a big social media following. I mean, every time I see your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever, I mean, it recharges me. There's just a cool energy about it. How do you balance? I mean, I know you don't. I mean, I know last time we talked, you said you turned down a lot of stuff. I mean, as in your role as an artist, and I'm still waiting for you to make more stuff. Runt was, I think, the last thing that I saw that you directed, but. So I mean, how do you find balance in terms of career and that crazy Hollywood and all the stuff that's happening in the world?
Well, it's all about how I set my priorities, and that's sort of my gauge. What is most important to me, and how does this new thing that's coming in fit into that? My family is most important to me, and how does going and shooting a film in Atlanta for a couple of months fit into that? And so I always evaluate things in that way, and that helps me balance. My daughters are women now. Mm-hmm. One is 26 and one is 18, and so that shifts things. Their need for me has changed in the way that they need me. So right now I'm in Montreal shooting Death Wish with Bruce Willis, and my daughters are in LA, and they're just fine out here. And I go home every few weeks and see them. It's where I can sort of open my playing ground a bit more and stay away a bit longer.
Yes, indeed. Well, I tell you what, as I'm looking at the pictures on your Instagram, I love my natural hair, and I've been sporting it for a long time. I would love to make it thicker, so I am very much looking forward to checking out your products and seeing if I might be able to get a full voluminous fro.
I got you.
Well, that's cool. So, as we wrap up, I mean, what words of wisdom can you give our audience, like in terms of, like at the opening of the show, I said, like, this is the time for Black genius to reveal itself within our culture, that we got to stop with the BS and really like have work that feeds us. And as I said, when we look at your body of work, it's nothing but nourishment. When we look at even just your spine, there is just everything you do relates back to one thing. What can you share with people to help them make sense of what's going on, what's about to happen, what we need to ingest in our bodies, in our souls, in order to persevere.
Oh, gosh. Thank you for all of those words, Michael. That's beautiful. Honestly, I think sometimes we can have a tendency to latch on to others' visions of themselves and try to adapt them for ourselves. And in that, miss out on our own uniqueness and our own gifts. And I think the more people tap into their own authenticity and nourish that and empower that and then fully embody it out into the world, then we're going to start seeing all of the magnificence that's really there and all of the gifts that everybody has to bring in their own unique way. And when you find that truth and you live your life along those lines, you can't help but fly and live a beautiful, happy life and at the same time uplift others just by being yourself. And that has been the way I've chosen to live my life and the way I've raised my children, and it's worked for me. So that's what I offer.
Yeah, no, I know it hasn't always been easy to single mom for a big chunk of it, but definitely, I'm really proud of you, sis. And I want everybody to go see your latest work and hopefully work more. Hopefully there'll be more opportunities to see you.
And buy your products and just overall support everything that you're giving back to the world. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you. I appreciate you all for all that you're doing because you're carrying a torch that's really powerful and mighty as well. So thank you.
Okay. Well, so Almost Christmas in theaters today. It's nourishment. I know you don't eat ribs. But this is comfort food. I don't even know what you ate on the table. They cooked a whole lot of food. The sweet potato pie. I don't know.
They had vegan everything, and Danny he ate a lot of the vegan stuff too. And so they were great. They really accommodated.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I didn't even hit on that. I know we have a break, but working with Danny again. It's been since Beloved, right? That you guys were.
Actually, this is our fourth movie together.
Oh, tell me.
Yes, we did Beloved. We did a movie called Hannah's Law, the Western, and we did a movie called, and the title always escapes me. We shot it in Detroit, and now this one.
Okay.
So this is number 4 for us.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's like an uncle.
He is. He's like a familiar touchstone. I'm always happy to see him. It's like, here we go again.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for the correction. I have to seek out those other two. But thanks again, Kimberly, for taking time out of your day, and can't wait for Death Wish and be safe.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Death Wish is amazing too. So all good.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
You
Thanks.
too.
Yeah, all is good.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. It just inspires the feeling of family when you talk to people like that who are so enthusiastic about what they do and realistic about it too. And that message about authenticity is one that we definitely need to make sure radiates out throughout our community. Doing what's best for you and honors you, not necessarily trying to fit into other people's molds and boxes and other things that just make us sad at the end of the day, because it's never good enough, it's never big enough, it's never pretty enough, whatever the case may be, in order to fit somebody else's ideal.
And this has been the struggle. So I put on my Facebook today, I put a picture of my mother, my aunt, as youngsters, right? Yeah. So I needed that connection because, too often in the media, if we just look at the media, we're excluded, and we've always been left out of the picture. So it's very important, to be grounded in terms of like, all right, we didn't just get here like some folks, and we have a huge legacy. We have a huge cultural inheritance that we should take ownership of, and we should celebrate. And whenever we have opportunities to commune together, even if it's just going out and just sitting on the park and talking to people, I think is very important right now. So.
It is indeed. So let's take this final commercial break of today's segment, and we'll come back and wrap up today's Real Black Radio with Mike D in the house in just a moment. Look back over the last 4.5 years of me being here at WURD. One of my favorite conversations was with that artist, Concha Buica, when she was here performing at the Kimmel Center, because everything was my sister. And And she's just got such a radiant spirit. And so from her latest album, Vivir Sin Miedo, which means Live Without Fear, that is a duet with Jason Mraz, quintessential California dude. But the song is called Carry Your Own Weight. And, we, in this moment of reeling and healing, as I've kind of typified it this week, that message, I think, is incredibly important, because those people who have already committed themselves to trying to uplift their particular situation, their community, to figure out how to deal with all the corruption and historic oppression that we have had in our society and everything else, it's not necessarily the election results have not necessarily knocked them on their butt. They're like, and tomorrow we wake up and we do it all again anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that, that's kind of the spirit of that song, that at the end of the day, you got to carry your own weight. You got to step into these situations and say, I'm going to keep going no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, it's politics is like sports. If your team didn't win, you're disappointed. It hurts. It hurts. But there are far worse things in the world.
Right.
And you have to look at what you have. You do the serenity prayer, and you go and you do what you need to do, either self-care or just, veg out, just
take your minute.
Do what you need to do.
That's right.
And, it's the world is going to keep spinning.
Indeed it is.
And if we're here or we're not, it's still going to keep spinning. So, but I just wanted to use the hour to just point to some good art, some good options and opportunities for people to sort of escape. Because I think the danger is if you spend too much time in one space and you don't necessarily see. I mean, people are upset, but there are a lot of people that are happy. You need, when it rains, it's not necessarily a good mood for you, but that's what you need for plants to grow. So like Kimberly said, this is the yin and the yang of things.
Yes.
But
so how can people give themselves a different perspective this weekend?
Well, I mean, shout out to Bradford Young, who has a movie in theaters as well this week, The Arrival, which is rocking a 95% fresh.
I was going to say,
on Rotten Tomatoes.
There have been lots of good things going on. And people go, this is not a scary movie. So though, they see the sci-fi thing and they might think that, it's going to be one of those sci-fi. This is not a sci-fi thriller, Amy Adams said on Tonight Show last night.
Okay, yeah, it's like Aliens. I was going to go to the screening this week, but then the Hillary rally came in and ended up going down there for that. But I will give a review of that in the next episode.
Okay.
But that's in theaters now. On Netflix, I said don't Netflix and chill. But if you're Netflixing and chilling, there are a lot of things that were added this week that were kind of cool.
Okay.
I mean, right off the bat, I had a lot of fun with this show, Chewing Gum. It's a British series, and all 6 episodes are up at once, so you can binge on it. It's like a half-hour thing. And it's sort of like a British, reminded me, I mean, I hate to make the comparison because it's concurrent, but it's sort of like the British version of Awkward Black Girl or British version of Insecure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about a black woman in London who has African roots, Nigerian roots, I believe, and she's 24 years old and she's still a virgin. She has a really strict Catholic upbringing, and she's trying to find a match, and her boyfriend may or may not be on the DL, and she's just frustrated, and she meets up with a white guy. So all kinds of things, hilarity ensues, as they say. Okay. And I watched the first episode or two, and it's a lot of fun. So Chewing Gum, that's on Netflix. Also Doe, which was in theaters earlier this year, I noticed that was added. I'll check it out. I wasn't super excited. It was another British film. Basically, it's about a black kid. I mean, I'm not enthused by the premise, but for free, I'll watch it. He's a black kid, and he gets a job at like a Jewish bakery owner, and he has the bright idea of putting some marijuana in the bread to help it sell better. So he saves the guy's business. But once again, I've seen that a gazillion times. Smart black kid, and drugs and stuff. So but Doe is out, so if you can check that out. The Norman Lear documentary was also added on Netflix, and that I'm a big fan of Norman Lear and what he had to say in terms of how he helped change the culture with shows like All in the Family and the Jeffersons and
Good Times.
Well, yes, to a certain extent, letting the bigoted American come out on TV and start a dialogue and discussion. But he's one of the most libertarian, liberal-minded guys on the planet. And he's in his 90s and he's still out there doing it. Floyd Norman documentary, I don't know if I talked about that on this show. No. Floyd Norman was the first black animator at Disney.
Oh, you did mention it. Yes, you did. I just didn't remember the name.
He's in his 80s, and they made a movie about him, and it's very charming. And he was a pioneer in a lot of different things. And then I know you'd be interested. The Celia Cruz miniseries. I think it's subtitled, but the whole series is on Netflix now. It's like hours and hours and hours.
And I was going to say, and people flooded my inbox to let me know it was coming. So I'm glad for the reminder that it is actually there, because it's like 8 hours, isn't it?
Maybe even longer. I'm not. I was
going to say it's either 8 or 13.
It's like a mega telenovela.
Exactly. And I was like, how am I going to block out enough time to watch this? But as I am a huge, huge, huge fan, I will figure out a way to make it happen.
And for me, I had never seen this movie before, but it opened my eyes. They Live. I mean, it's not streaming anywhere, but definitely if you can find it, you can purchase on iTunes or whatever. John Carpenter's They Live with Keith David and Roddy Piper. Definitely a movie worth watching in this time.
You want to talk about an odd couple. Keith David and Roddy Piper and John Carpenter, as bizarro as he is.
No, it's a great film. It's a genius film.
I might need to have several cocktails before I even attempt to watch something like that.
You have to give this a try. I mean, he plays a drifter, who's struggling, homeless drifter, Roddy Piper, who falls upon a cult. There's an underground cult that's trying to overturn the government, and he discovers this box of sunglasses. And when you put the sunglasses on, you see the real world, the world as it really is, and half the population is aliens, reptilian type people.
Because it's John Carpenter. That doesn't surprise me at all.
When you look at advertising signs, it says stuff like obey, marry, and reproduce. That's where Shepard Fairey got his whole obey thing from. So, I mean, in this day and age, it's really important. And the last things I'll talk, I don't know if you saw this yet. I'm showing Steph the Invincible Iron Man variant cover, which is on sale now at Amalgam Comics on Frankfurt Avenue.
Yes, with Ariel Johnson, who is the proprietor of Amalgam Comics, on the cover. The first black woman comic book owner to ever be so honored. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. This is such a collector's item, dude.
Yeah, it's limited to 1,000 copies. Once they're gone, that's it. And if you're lucky enough to be there when Ariel's there, she'll gladly sign it and take a picture with you and all that stuff, because it's super dope. And my intern Alex, she did like a mannequin challenge, which we posted on our Instagram.
Nice.
So that's a lot of fun. Invincible Iron Man, and then don't lose sight, the character Riri Williams.
Yes.
Is a 15-year-old black girl who becomes a superhero. So
yes, we've talked about that here on the air. And I'm holding in my hand also, Mike brought Power to the People, The World of the Black Panthers, a coffee table book. I'm assuming kind of celebrating the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with Bobby Seale, and he was telling me this book was coming out. So I was like, I'll pre-order it, whatever, like sight unseen. Mm-hmm. And when it arrived, it was like, wow,
gorgeous.
It's beautiful. I mean, the photographs, the story, and it's compact. Like if you Seize the Time is kind of a dense read. This is a perfect. I mean, especially if you're a parent, this is something you just want to have around the house. I mean, and trust that your kids are going to pick it up eventually.
Beautiful, beautiful photography. A reintroduction to all of these amazing programs that have become social programs of our federal government. So it should be clear that these were developed for our people struggling in the 60s, and now they have been turned into these quote-unquote socialist programs that are a part of our American government. No,
very, very important that you tell your own story. And one of the things, Bobby Seale, he intentionally kept himself out of the PBS documentary. Mm-hmm. He's the co-author of this book.
Yeah.
He has access to the archives. He's telling the story from the perspective of the founder of the Black Panthers. I think, the documentary is certainly great, but this book needs to be supported. And And now I think now is the time to do that. Seize the time.
Absolutely.
And pick up a copy of Power to the People. I mean, it's a little pricey. It's like $30 or $40, but
that is a coffee table book.
It's a coffee table book.
That's not exorbitant. That's a standard price for a coffee table book.
Okay, well, get it. Christmas gift, all that stuff. My highest recommendation. I'm just loving it. So that's the hour.
Yes.
So lots of choices for people to do, but just talk to one another, communicate. Don't feel like you're isolated. Don't look at this mainstream media and feel that your life doesn't matter or that you're a hashtag or anything. There's a huge cultural legacy. It all begins with family and being grounded and knowing who you are and being in touch with yourself and connecting with others. So
amen. Shaking the virtual tambourine for that.
We can do that through art. So there is hope. But if all else fails, we'll have that paraplegic,
you know what?
transgender,
shush, silence.
fifth party candidate.
That does it for this edition of Real Black Radio. We'll do it all over again next Friday at 11 o'clock. Taking a quick break and coming back to conclude with today's third hour of The Mojo. Stay tuned.
You've been listening to a podcast of Real Black Radio with Mike D and Steph Renee. Fridays 11 a.m. till noon on 900 AM WURD. And 900 AM WURD.com. Follow us on your favorite social media like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for up-to-date information at 900 AM WURD and at Real Black.